Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our NBS Virtual Open House live streaming session. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, even though it must be quite relatively early in the morning for you. Okay, before we begin, let me start by introducing my colleagues and myself. So over there on the left, we have Mr. Yong Zhou, and Zhou is in charge of admission matters and so on. So all your questions relating to admissions or perhaps even scholarships and all that, Zhou will help to answer them. And next to Zhou, we have Miss Linda Ong. Linda is the director of ACE, our Academy for Career Excellence. So from her title, you will know that her function here is to help all our undergrads with their internship issues, with their career employment issues. So Linda is the one who will help everyone to look for internships, put you in touch with employers, and so on. Okay, and next to me, here we have Associate Prof. Damien Joseph, and Damien is the Associate Dean in charge of undergrad academic matters. And so all your questions in relation to the program, to the academic aspects of NBS, Damien is here to help us answer them. And my name is Lum Kit Wye. I'm the Associate Dean for Undergrad Student Life. And so, basically I do all the things that Damien doesn't want to do. So I take charge of student life, student clubs, and orientation and all that kind of things. And my function here today is basically to direct questions for them to answer. So I'm the moderator today, but I will also try to answer some of your questions. Okay, thank you so much. And without further ado, let's start looking at the Slido questions, because you have been given a QR code, right? That QR code you can scan, and then you can type in your questions, and then we will answer as many of those questions as we can. You will find that a lot of times the questions, they may relate to the same matter, so I will kind of group them together and answer. We will try to answer that question together with similar questions of the sort. Okay? And let me look at the Slido. Okay, the first question I see here is one that is very often asked, and it relates to the fact that our curriculum is 3 years. Okay, our programs, whether accountancy or business, they are 3 years rather than the typical 4 years that the other local universities would offer. So the question here is, since the NBS curriculum is 3 years, as compared to NUS and SMU 4 years business course, does it mean that the NBS curriculum is not as holistic or as complete? Well, for that, let me ask Damien to answer that for you, since he is in charge of all academic matters.
Right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a 3-year course, and it has always been a 3-year course since the very beginning. The way we do this at the business school at NTU is that we combine innovative pedagogy, right, with a strong set of curriculum. Right? Our faculty at the business school have deep expertise in their fields of, in their professions and their fields of expertise, right, to do this. So they know the curriculum, they know the body of knowledge. In addition, the one way by which we really incorporate all that skills into the workforce is by engaging our industry partners. We bring the curriculum into industry, and we bring industry into our curriculum, right? So for example, right, we have internships which Linda and her team, right, manages, right? Already in the first year, right, to come in, we will send you out on internships. We also have the work study degree program, where you have about 35 weeks of in situ experience. So you combine whatever you learn in the classroom with whatever and apply it in industry. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. So for work study degree programs, it's been very popular and very well received by our students as well as employers. You basically do a 35-week internship within your 3 years of your program or your 4 years of your program, and you also get work experience. You can also go for your exchange program. You are also able to decide, basically on even a work study overseas as well. So these are programs that basically give you a very holistic education. And when you're at the employer side, you definitely will be learning a lot of skills from our employers.
So at the end of the day, you'll notice between our students within the 3 years and those who graduate in 4 years, there is not much difference, at least to the employer, right? The same employment rates, the same organizations, same job roles, right? But the advantage here is you get into the workforce a year earlier, and I think that's very important, right?
Okay, so I think that basically what my colleagues Linda and Damien have been trying to say is that our programs, they're efficient and they're effective,
Yes.
right? And you know, when you ask us why 3 years, maybe our question is more of why 4 years? Okay. All right, so moving on, there's another question that actually asks about the double degree programs, and I think that's a good time to answer it now because Linda and Damien both have been talking about the work study degree program. So maybe let's discuss that now.
Okay, so at the business school, we have 3 different types of degree programs. The first is the double degree in accountancy and in business, right? We call it the ACBS, right, program. Now, the ACBS program equips candidates in that particular double degree, right, a full training in accountancy. So when they graduate, they have to do maybe one more exam before they become chartered accountants, and a full business education, right, combined together. Now, this ACBS program provides the widest range of job opportunities at the end of the day, right? So that's a 4-year degree program. Now, we also have a Bachelor of Business and Computing, right? Computer Science or Computer Engineering. That's a collaboration with the School of Computer Science, right? We bring it together, a full business degree combined with the technology and the deep expertise of our computer science program together, right? So if you notice, if you have looked up the stats, right, this particular group of students are the highest paid starting salaries in all of Singapore. Right? The third and the newest program that we have is the accountancy with data science and AI. It's about a 4.5-year program, right, where we combine a full accountancy degree together with a degree in data science and artificial intelligence. Right? So the purpose there is for people to get into the fintech career.
Okay. Linda, do you have anything to add on that?
Well, good question about the NBS Work Study Degree Program. We are currently working with more than 50 employers for our Work Study Degree Program. These are employers who are from the banking industry, consulting industry, private equity, as well as consumer products, FMCG. We also have employers from commodities industry, and as well as technology industries. Okay, and including insurance industries and also human resource consulting. So basically, we have a choice of work study degree programs for you when you want to take a work study degree program, and you would actually get to also choose the employer that you want to do your work study degree program with. So, and that would mean that there are a lot of options for you, but not to worry. We from ACE will help you and work with you through your options.
Okay, thank you, Linda. So you can see that the work study degree program, the attraction of it is that it combines 2 things, right? It allows you to gain work experience. At the same time, you are fulfilling a degree requirements by actually earning academic units. So you don't have to make a choice of, do I go for internship now, or do I want to stay back in school to clear my academic units and earn that? So you can do both at the same time. Yeah? Okay, the next question that I think I would like to discuss is the question in relation to our timelines of admissions, because Hong Zhou is sitting here eagerly wanting to say something. So I want to give him a chance to speak about our admissions.
Okay, thanks, Kit Wye. So in terms of the timeline for admission, that really depends on the high school qualification type that you're using to apply to NTU. So for the poly students, actually it's currently ongoing. Some of you may have applied to us, some of you are still deciding. Okay, so don't decide too long, as you will have your application closing upcoming on the 21st of February. Okay, for the A-level students, okay, you guys will receive your results on the 17th of February. So that really marks the start of your application window, which lasts until the 19th of March. Okay, so do take note of that. In terms of interview, we are doing it at a selected basis. So if you do get shortlisted and come down for an interview, usually the turnaround time for your results is in a week. Okay, so the admissions team is really working very hard to review the application, looking at the quality of your application and all that before we have a final outcome that is being communicated to you. All right. In terms of the acceptance, do take note of this date, which is 24th of May, which is the closing date for your acceptance if you do get an offer. So make sure you do accept us if you have decided to before this date so that you do not miss out on the offer that we have given to you. Okay?
Okay, so in other words, mark all the important dates in your calendar and set a reminder. Don't miss out on the application window or the acceptance window. Okay? Hope to see your applications. And good luck for the exams release, which are coming up soon. Okay. Next one, let's talk about the minor programs. So someone is asking about what kind of minor programs are offered in NBS. So aside from your, say, your basic degree of, your core degree of business or your core degree of accountancy, are there other minor programs that I can actually take up? And over to you, Damien.
So at the university, right, we offer all students a chance of minor, right, and we have about over 45 available minors for you to take. Right? So for example, we have those with strategic communications, we have a minor in psychology, we have a minor in sustainability that's coming on stream next year, right? So we have a whole list. It's on our webpage. I would encourage you to look at it, right? But let me explain this idea of a minor. Right? So if you are going off to study, let's say, a business program and you specialize in, for example, human resource consulting, right? So one minor that would be very appropriate there would be a minor in psychology, right? We want to learn about the human behavior, about the human mind, and why individuals behave like that in the organization. So that's a very good pairing, right? If you are in banking and finance, you might want to do a minor in, let's say, economics or even sustainability, because that is something that organizations are getting into, right? So we have these curated minors made up of usually 5 courses, right? And there is a set of, a type of courses which we call the broadening and deepening electives, which the students will take, right, for that minor. So you should be done without even extending your candidature with us.
Yes, definitely. So there's no need to extend the candidature. The minor programs are all designed to allow you to complete them, successfully complete them within the period of your candidature. And aside from minor programs, actually, because even though the question only asks about minor programs, aside from minor programs, there are many other courses that you could take, from, not just from NBS, but from other schools in NTU as well, as part of your broadening and deepening electives.
That is right.
Yeah.
That is right. So if, for example, we have students who are going out to take fencing, right, to pursue their interests. We have others taking yoga, right, astronomy, cosmology, right. So anything that you have an interest in, right, and able to pursue, right, there's this set of courses, right, 15 academic units or 5 courses that you can go pursue whatever you want in business school, right? But also then, just to add on, in addition to minors, I might as well just cover, we have curated majors, right? Currently, we have 2 curated majors that we are encouraging our students to take up. So the second major would be in entrepreneurship, right? And that is run out of our Nanyang Technopreneurship Center. Right? It is one of the foremost entrepreneurship centers in Singapore. And the other second major that you might want to consider is the second major in sustainability. Right? So again, all these links are on our webpage. Right? Please go read up about it, think about it. And we're going to have an open house, I think, on the 25th of February, right? So, a physical one, right? So come down, talk to us about it. We'll be happy to explain, in detail what those minors and second majors and broadening and deepening electives that you might want to pursue.
Yes, and also, if you come down for the physical open house, what would be interesting that we can't do today is that you could see at least the outside of our new building.
Oh, that's right.
Which will actually, the TOP should be issued very soon, and we are planning to move in anytime now. And so if you have not heard of our new building yet, go and Google largest wooden building in Asia, and then they'll show you the NBS building. So if you come down for our open house, you can at least look at it from outside, because the TOP has not been issued yet. We can't go inside, but you can see it from outside. And definitely by the new academic year, this year, our students will be there already. So that's a very exciting time for everyone. All the students and staff have been waiting eagerly for this moment. Okay. All right, another question that comes on, aside from specializations, then what about your core programs, right? So what are the kind of specializations offered in NBS? So, I mean, if you are taking the accounting program, then obviously your specialization is accounting. Yep, that's it. But of course, you can do the other minors and all that, and the second majors as well. But aside from accounting, as I think most of you would know, NBS also offers a business program. And for that business program, you can choose specializations. And you choose after your first year. So after your first year, once you have had a feel of many different areas of business, then we ask you, which one would you like to specialize in? And that's, I think, what the question is referring to. So maybe, Damien, you would like to speak more about specializations.
So we have 7 specializations on offer, right? They range from actuarial sciences, which is the premier program, right? And we are the business school that does the actual science program in Singapore. We also have banking and finance, risk analytics, the international trading, right? Marketing. So there are about 7. Right. Now, these specializations are curated based on the expertise that our faculty have. Right? So we have chosen these 7 specializations and have concentrated on them, right? Because we believe that a general business degree is not useful to organizations. We are training you for a job role, right? And these are the 7 job roles that we have decided to concentrate on and train the next generation of business leaders, right? So at the end of your first year, as like what Kit Wye said, right? At the end of your first year, you will have to make a decision of getting into one of these 7 specializations based on your interests, based on your career development, which Linda and team will help you along the way as well, right? In trying to make that choice, right? So when you get into that specialization, right, you get deeper training into, let's say, banking and finance or risk analytics or business analytics, right? And we prepare you then for a role in those specializations in the organization. Right?
Okay. Well, originally I had this question lined up for to discuss relating to how to choose minors, but since actually Damien has talked about how we prepare you for roles by the specializations and through the specializations, I thought maybe let's just first discuss this point. What are some of the career prospects of each specialization? I think some students put that in because of the discussion here, so I think maybe we can continue from that. Linda, would you like to discuss that?
Well, I would say it's limitless. Career prospects. So for instance, if you are taking a banking and finance specialization, you would probably or likely be joining a financial institution, an investment house, a huge multinational local bank, and you could actually go into roles in private banking, investment banking, sales and trading, risk, credit, and etc. If you were taking international trading program, for instance, you will likely be heading into the commodities industry, and that's really, really interesting. It's not your soft commodities, but it's your hard commodities. For instance, you will learn about steel, you will learn about coal, you may be trading in energy, you may be trading in grain and soy and sugar. So everything that is very from the ground up, into towering structures that you may be working in a company that is in the commodities industry. An example of an actuarial science student, for instance, would go into a insurance company. For instance, I'm not going to name all the big names here, so that I'm equitable to all my fantastic employers out there. But you will join definitely a very huge multinational insurance company, and you will be doing the work of an actuary specialist, underwriter, brokering, etc. So there are many, unlimitless what we call opportunities for each specialization. I could actually meet you when you come on, campus, and we can talk more about the specializations, especially with regard to what you're interested in.
Okay, thank you, Linda. The next thing that we will discuss then is the choice, yeah? How do we choose minors like sustainability or second major in entrepreneurship after we get the Bachelor of Business, or do we choose during the admission process?
Okay.
I think Zhou can assist you with that.
Okay, so for our admissions process, right, in terms of the second majors, okay, that will be the one that's offered upon admissions, because in terms of selection criteria, they will differ from programs to programs. I'd like to build on the point that Damien has spoke about the minors. We do have a long list of minors, and do take note that as you visit our webpage, there will be a column with the remarks that indicate to you what are some of the eligibility of the minors. You will find that some of the minors are also offered only upon admission, so in that sense, you will have to powder over it and see whether at the point of admission, would you want to select that as part of your choice or not? So do take note of that in terms of your choosing of choice, okay? So make sure that you get yourself more informed before you actually indicate your choice order, because in some sense, the order of the choice does matter in our selection. Yeah.
Okay, so the next question that we will deal with let's move away from academics for a short while. Yeah, and this question asks, besides academics, are there other clubs or student interest groups that I can join in NBS? There are very, very many of them. Yeah, so there are many student clubs and interest group you can join, not just in NBS, but NTU as well. So depending on what you're interested in, there can be sporting groups, there can be groups relating to your specialization. There can also be groups that dedicate themselves more to the service of others. Like, for example, in our NBS itself, we have a mentoring society. And this was actually ground up level in the sense that it was the students who came to us to ask us whether or not they could start a mentoring society. And we were very happy about that, okay, because obviously it is something that's beneficial to the juniors. And even more than that, perhaps, I like how it cultivates the spirit of giving back in our students, and that is a very important part of our culture in NBS. So in NBS, we not only have this mentoring society where the seniors mentor their juniors in terms of things like academics or internships or employment or anything else that you need to help you get through life in university. Aside from that, we also have what we call peer tutoring, and this is where students who are very comfortable in a particular subject, they have done well, they understand the subject well, and they come back to tutor the juniors who are now going through that same subject. And I think that the feedback from our students is that they have found it extremely useful, because these are your peers teaching you, and often your peers are able to really understand what you can't get your head around, what is actually so challenging to you. And they have the time to spend with you to not just explain the concepts to you, but also to give you study tips and so on. So I think our students have found that really useful. And overall, to me, that really shows the community spirit in NBS and how our students are really engaged in helping each other out, yeah, and not just looking out for themselves. Okay, aside from that, there are also many other things that you can do in the hall. Yeah, so if you come to NTU, I think one of the major attractions of NTU is the guaranteed hall life. Because definitely you come in your first year, if you want to stay in a hostel, you definitely can stay in a hostel. And I would encourage you again, go Google and look at our hostels on campus. They're really nice. And I think that hostel life is such an important part of uni life, actually.
And hostels, and Google this as well, hostels tend to have a certain character. So for example, I think hall 5 and 6 are known as sports halls, right? And then there is a cheerleading hall, and there is a drama hall. So there are different characters that suits, the individual, right? So I encourage you all to explore that as well, I think.
Yes, and in fact, in NTU, we have a particular program called the Residential Education Program that is geared for hall residents, and it's not like education kind of thing, but it's fun. They have all kinds of workshops and things for you to take part in: cooking, gardening, I think astronomy as well, all kinds of interesting interest group focused workshops. So if you stay in a hostel, then you can also take part in all these things over and on top what the student clubs already have in NTU and in NBS. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Okay, what else shall we talk about? Someone is asking about how do I go about applying to NBS with achievements outside of school? So how do you tell us basically about all the wonderful things you've done aside from school, aside from your academic grades? Zhou.
Right, so this really pertains to what we call our aptitude-based admission, whereby you are telling us, in terms of your out of school or non-academic achievements, what do you have in your bag? Okay, so in terms of this process, right, you would have to have a 500-word write-up, an essay, personal essay, and you will have to get at least one referee in your application. Now, many of them are thinking, right, what is the thing that, that will make me stand out from my peers? Now, as a business school, we really focus on things like the entrepreneurial mindset and the spirit that you have, services to, people around you, to the society, as well as the leadership. Okay, so if you know that and you find yourself, over the course of your study in your high school or even in your secondary school, you have made significant contributions, that can make a difference to the people around you or to the society, put that down in the application, okay? Let us know how you stand different from your peers, and we will review that, and that will give you an opportunity to come into our school via a non-academic pathway. So really it's about telling us your life story in terms of how you outshine other people in the non-academic aspect. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Zhou. Right, so as Zhou is saying, this is in relation to our drive to have a lot more aptitude-based admission. And everyone these days is talking about grades are not everything, and that's true. We recognize that a lot of the potential of each student is not necessarily grades alone. Yeah, there can be many other things in which you really shine, many other areas in which you can really contribute. So whether you are a wonderful sports person, whether you have gone and done your own startup, whether you are a dedicated volunteer, you have contributed a lot to society, all these things, do let us know. Yeah. So when you're filling up your application, don't just input your grades, also take the time to complete the other part of the application that relates to the non-academic side of you. We would love to get to know the non-academic side of you as well. Yeah, so that's your about aptitude-based admission. Someone asked, if I get admission for Bachelor of Business only, can I change it to a double degree, adding accountancy later on? Maybe based on my first year grades.
Well, actually, this is a good question, and it happens, it happens. Now, the thing is that we know that how the concept of upgrading a degree, it's more difficult than downgrading. Yeah, but of course, we wouldn't want to go to the downgrade path. I would say that it's possible, okay, based on your performance that you have achieved in the school, all right? Our curriculum team will actually do a review to assess based on, the criteria and whether the candidates itself, he or she, whether she can handle the load with the upgrade? Because now you're telling me that I would want to change from a single degree to a double degree, which would really mean that there will be an increase in load and the intensity of the course. So yes, it's possible, but that would mean that there is some hard work that is required on the student, him or herself, to prove that he or she is able to take this on at a later stage. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. So basically, it is not impossible, but it would depend on your grades as well as whether or not there is vacancy in the degree program. Yeah. And the grades is really because we want to make sure that all the students who take on a double degree have a good chance of success. And if you are not extremely strong academically, it might be wiser to focus on one degree and do well in that rather than overburdening yourself with 2 degrees. Yeah. Because also if you struggle so hard to stay afloat academically, then there are all the other aspects of university life that you will have to miss out on, and that would be a shame. And ultimately, at the end of the day, university life is not just about that degree. It's about the entire experience. It is about taking the time to do things like internships, exchange programs, and so on. Okay? Someone has asked also about admissions. Okay, so let's deal with that as well. How should we rank our choices when applying to improve our chances of entry?
Okay, well, the answer is as plain as it is. Of course, the one that you want will be placed at a higher priority choice, okay? But one of the features that I would want to highlight would be the feature of the implied choice. Okay, let me just kind of like quickly explain how it works. So let's say that you are applying for an accountancy with a minor with international trading as your first choice. Okay, and then in your second choice, you apply for business. Now, there will be an implied choice setting for which you will actually be considered for a third choice for simply just the accountancy degree without the international trading option. Okay, so this is actually being described in our website, but the description of it doesn't seem to make people understand the words, but so this is how I'm going to phrase it to all of you out there. Okay, so that really means to say that when you have a combination of the degree with other major or minors, okay, that option will be considered for a later choice that is not filled out for simply the plain degree itself. Okay, so in terms of increasing the chance, it goes back to really the rank order. You know, the first choice really tells us that is the choice that you really want, and then the second choice and so forth. Yeah.
And perhaps since you've raised that, Hong Jo, let's deal with the second question that's up there as well, which I think kind of relates to what you were saying.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that I've understood exactly correctly what the question is asking, but I think that what you're asking is that, is it more difficult to get into a program with a minor as opposed to just the program without the minor?
Well, it's actually not exactly the case, all right? In terms of the benchmark that we're putting at, right, many of us are really asking us, very directly, what is the cutoff for this program, what is the cutoff for that program? But of course, we cannot disclose, in a more so direct manner, which is why we have this information that is up on the web page available to everyone, which is called the indicative grade profiles. Okay, that really shows the kind of grade profile of students coming in with the general program degree, okay, from at the 10th and 90th percentile. Okay, to put the math in more perspective, all right, the 10th and 90th percentile really means that if the school is enrolling about 100 students, all right, the 10th percentile shows you what is the grade profile, okay, of the 90th student, all right, if you arrange them by the order of grades, coming in with successful enrollment into the school. So the 90th percentile profile will of course be the top student naturally, which is why you guys will be seeing all the straight A's or or with very high CGPA for the poly IGP. So that is really, I think, the part that people can use to refer to as a good reference to kind of like benchmark and position themselves and understand where their standing is for this year's admission. Yeah.
I think the other thing, sorry.
So I think the question that you raised is a question of competitiveness. right? So, of course, the double degrees will be the most competitive to get into, right? Followed by the single degrees with the second major, right? And then followed by the ones with the minors, and then the single degrees. So, yes, in terms of competitiveness, there is a gradation, right? Going in.
Yeah,
So
and I think that the
yeah.
thing to realize also is that it's not necessarily just about the grades, yeah? Because, first of all, you have to look at vacancies. So, tendency is that a program with a minor will have fewer vacancies, fewer spots available than our general basic degree, which has the most spots available. So, without even talking about grades, that's the truth of the matter, that if there are fewer spots available, then it just gets more difficult and more competitive to get in. But remember what we were saying about our admission-based, our aptitude-based admission, which means that actually we don't just consider your grades. So the other things will matter as well. So even though there is the indicative grade profile, it is definitely not the end-all and be-all. We will definitely look at other things as well. So sometimes it may be that someone with slightly better grades may not be getting into a program, whereas a friend with, on the surface of it, grades that are not as good, how come this person gets into the program? That would likely be because of the other things that this person has managed to accomplish, and therefore demonstrating the potential that this person has. Okay, so it's not just all about the grades.
It's about the profile of the person, I
Yeah,
think,
it's about the profile of the person, and sometimes also it also depends on the profile of the person that matches the minor or major that you are applying for. So if you are applying for the second major in entrepreneurship, and you have shown us that, you know, I've actually done a startup and so on, then you really fit that profile well. And so you probably stand a much higher chance of getting into the program. Okay, I hope that explains the situation. Okay, someone has also asked, are ICC courses part of the degree program? This, I think, shows that you have been diligent and you've been going to our website and reading up about NTU and NBS education because you know about the ICC. But maybe, Damien, you need to explain what the ICC is before we answer the question.
So the ICC course, and ICC stands for Interdisciplinary Collaborative Core, right? So let me break those three terms down for you, right? So the ICC course, the core is important. It is a set of 7 courses which the university has deemed that all undergraduates, regardless of which discipline you are reading, right, need to know. So these 7 courses would be things like digital literacy, well-being, career preparedness, science and tech and humanity, sustainability, and a few others that you can read on the website, right? So this is core. Right? Now, it's collaborative in the sense that all of these courses have a very large project component. Right? Now, the project component has to be done by a team, right? And this is where the interdisciplinary part comes in. Right? Those classes that you attend in this ICC topics, right? The students come from all the disciplines put together. Right? So your teammates could be from psychology, from engineering, from biosciences, from the arts, design, media, right? But all of these students will bring their own perspectives to the table, right? Their personalities to the table, their knowledge to the table, right? To address difficult problems on sustainability, for example, in terms of the application of particular technology, right, to work, that sort of thing. Right? So these are the 7 courses that we think, again, are very important that everybody needs to know, right, in our business school, and courses that will prepare them for the workplace.
Okay, so I hope that answers the question, and I think that this is a very exciting part for the students because it really allows you to meet so many other people from all the different schools in NTU. NTU is such a big university, but you know, the tendency is we only mix with the people in our program, the people in our year, the people in our seminar groups and so on. But this one kind of forces you to go out there and actually open up your horizons, yeah, and open up your world a bit. All right. Okay, and talking about opening up and broadening your horizons and opening up your world, let's talk about exchange, okay? Are there semester exchange opportunities? Are there indeed?
Yes, there are. And we have over 100 exchange partners, right, that you can avail yourselves to, right? So if you want to undertake an exchange in Indonesia, for example, right, we have the major universities in Indonesia opening their doors to our students to go in, right? Vietnam as well, right? Those are countries where Singapore has very deep links with, right, and where the engines of industry, right, are growing. Right. Further afield in Europe, in the US, right, in Australia, we have partner universities there. So I would encourage, right, as many students as possible to undertake an exchange program. Right. We have support for that at the university level, at the school level, right. And if you go to any country, right, to do an exchange, you probably will find an alumni there that will buddy you through that 6 months, right, and help you through as well. Yes.
So I think it's really exciting. And just before we started this session, I was just talking with Iqbal, one of our students, and he was just telling me that he's going on exchange to, guess where? NYU. Okay, wow. So I said, whoa, you got NYU, how lucky. Nice, right? So that's where he's going. And talking about alumni, right, who help to buddy you and so on, that's exactly what was happening, because one of our staff members was just getting him in contact with another NBS student who had gone to NYU on exchange previously. So that helps you to kind of prepare yourself and before you go on exchange, right? And how to get through. And on top of that, our alumni support doesn't just stop there, because we have the EOF fund, right, Linda? Yeah, where our alumni are actually so supportive of our students getting the opportunity to go abroad, to really widen their worldview, that they have come together to set up a fund to help students who may find it a bit financially challenging to go abroad. So there's a fund that actually can help them.
Yes, so the fund is called the Equal Opportunity Fund. It is set up by our alumni who believe that every student should have an equal opportunity to go overseas for an exchange, or if an internship as well. And on the note of getting a semester abroad, we have opportunities for students to do your internship abroad as well. So now that COVID is almost over, the borders have opened, and currently we have internships for our students to go to Africa, for instance, Uganda, Ghana, Zambia, countries as far-flung as Africa, to India, and nearer home, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Indonesia. At the same time, we have internships for Hong Kong, we have internships for London, and even Amsterdam. And of course, USA, Silicon Valley, and Berlin, etc. So if you are not thinking of an exchange, you can also think about an internship abroad, which is going to be really exciting and would be, I think, mind-opening as well.
Yeah, so of course, if you're really eager to travel, you could do an exchange abroad and an internship abroad, right? Why not? And actually, NTU also has this overseas semester program, right?
Yes, yeah. So the overseas semester program is basically for, it's called OEP. It's where students can do a 6 months, especially focusing on a startup, right? So that's where the entrepreneur ideas are also formed and birthed as well. Many students enjoyed the experiences in OEP to China, and that's going to start again. They enjoyed the experiences to Cambodia, Vietnam, Berlin, Israel, UK, USA. This would be your semester-long overseas entrepreneurship program, which is called OEP in short.
And actually, I was just speaking to some students about this, who students had gone, and they were telling me that they felt comfortable doing this, even though it meant delaying graduation, of course, by at least by 1 semester normally. It would mean delaying your graduation by 1 semester, because they said that, well, my course is only 3 years. And therefore, even if I delay by 1 semester, actually as compared to my peers who didn't go to NBS, I'm still ahead of them. So they didn't feel uncomfortable delaying graduation because they kind of felt like they had a year to play around with. Yeah? And some of our students also actually take a leave of absence for 1 semester or 1 year even to go out there and do their own things, whether it's an internship or whether it is to do a startup and so on. So I think that for many of our students, having a 3-year program also gives them more flexibility and more courage in doing these kinds of exciting things. Yeah?
Yes, indeed. You could do a 3-year program with us, and you could still do a half a year leave of exchange. You could also take a semester off and do your social work or start a social entrepreneurship in Singapore or overseas. These are the benefits of joining the Nanyang Business School in a 3-year program. You get to customize your education, you get to customize your experience with the opportunities that we provide for you and the resources that we have laid out for you.
Okay, and this, I see this question here that's so interesting that says, I've been running a small business since Poly Year 1. Is there a way for me to balance my schoolwork so I can watch my business as well? Can I set my own pace to clear the courses? And I thought this is an interesting question because our live streaming here actually is being done by a business. Our vendor for this live streaming is a business that's owned by one of our students. You see? There he is saying, oh, like that, but actually it's true. And so he's still one of our students, and therefore he is the live example of he's running a business. I don't know how small, seems to be getting bigger, since his first year. So actually he was doing it before he came into NBS, and he's been continuing, and he's been very supportive. And we've been asking him to help us with all these live streaming and so on. And so ever since COVID, right, everybody needs this. So we've been asking him to help. So yes, why not?
So to the extent possible, right, we will help you manage your business as well as your curriculum, right? Because as Kit Wye was mentioning, right, this is part of the aptitude-based admissions, right? If you are running a business since Poly, right, we would like, to engage with you, to help you, to support your development of the business, right? Yeah, especially if you are undertaking a business degree, right? Many of the things that you have already experienced will be valuable in class, right? It will be valuable for the other students, right? And they would want to at least learn from you, right, and learn how to start a business from you as well. So it's a good thing, right? And we will support you to the extent it is possible for us to do so.
Yes, right? I think that, and I think that someone of this sort in a classroom is also a valuable addition to a classroom because you have your own insights that may be very different from your classmates who have not worked or who have not run their own business before. So having a student like that in class, I think is also very interesting for the other students, for the instructors as well. Yeah, so helps to enrich our student community. And let's take another work-related question. Everyone's very career-oriented today. I think I'm quite different from my classmates because I prefer to work in Asia. How can NBS help me with this career goal? Linda, over to you.
Well, the good news is we have students that start their first career and their first job in Asia. They have opportunities in Japan. We have students that start in Hong Kong, and we also have students that also start in Vietnam. How do we help you? Well, we have connections with these employers. Either they are home-based from Singapore or based in Hong Kong or based in Japan or based in Vietnam. We help you in preparing for your career, looking at your career goals. We run courses that would also help you to elevate your skills and your competencies. So one of the courses that we have for our students would be a course called Careers Future Forward, where you actually get to decide on your skills and competencies that you want to strengthen. This is all in for career preparing you for your career and developing for your career. Now, we also have students that start their first job in China as well. And how do we help these students, just basically get a footing in? Number one, we work with the employers overseas. Number two, to prepare you we actually also run what we call how do you work in Asia? How do you work in a country like Japan, where it could be different from Singapore, and we get experts who are from Japan or who are working in companies in Japan, and some of them are also our alumni, to come and do what we call a briefing and also discuss about the cultural norms and the work norms that are expected in an organization that originated from Japan or even from China or Cambodia or Vietnam. So these are the ways that we help our students get into Asia. But of course, outside of Asia, our students do start their first job in London, or they could also start their first job somewhere else that is a bit further away.
Okay, and let me just jump in here to kind of talk about our CQ, right? The concept of cultural intelligence actually was birthed right here in NBS itself. So our researchers from NBS were the ones who first talked about the idea of cultural intelligence. So we also will run courses like that for our students to prepare them for going for overseas internships or for employments and so on. Yeah, and if you're interested in what cultural intelligence is, again, Google is your friend. Go Google it.
So, just to add on to that, right? Before we send our students out on exchange or on overseas internships, right, they will have to go through a course on developing their cultural intelligence, right? It's a credited module, right, about 36 hours or thereabouts, where they will, through exercises and through role play, they will learn how other cultures scripts, right, and a mindset to operate in another culture. Right? So we do that for every student that intends to do an overseas exchange or a overseas internship.
Okay, thank you for that. Now let me cycle back from talking about careers, your end goal, right, for many people of a degree and a university education. Let's cycle back to the beginning of your university education. Someone has asked, are there any orientation programs I can join in NBS? How do I join them? Yes, there definitely are orientation programs you can join. And someone also said, I saw that NBS has 5 houses, sounds exciting. And I wanted to talk about these two questions together because they're very much linked. So we have orientation programs, and these orientation programs have, there are 5 of them. There's the FOP, there is Rush, there is Zenith, there's Inflammare, there's Color Splash. Okay, again, go on our website and look out for them. And how do you join them? There will be calls for you to join. Yeah. Nearer to the start of the school term, a call will go out to all our students to ask them to join the NBS orientation programs, and then you sign up there. And when you sign up, they will also tell you what kind of characteristic, what kind of features, or what sets our particular orientation program apart. And so you choose which one you think appeals to you most, and you join. So for example, I might give an example of Inflammare. Inflammare orientation is very much focused on getting to know industry partners. So there are a lot of industry partner activities. There's also a lot of service component to Inflammare. And FOP, for example, would be more into the physical activities, more sporting kind of activities, and so on. So it depends on what appeals to you. And for orientation programs, a lot of times our orientation programs is for the first week, for the first month of university, with the idea of basically orienting you, right, to a university environment. So transitioning you from your pre-university to university. And so generally it lasts for about 1 week, 1 month. But we thought that it's a shame to let the initiative die there, because a lot of strong bonds are formed during orientation. And while typically our students will informally, on an informal basis, continue to interact with each other, they will get together for lunches and events and so on, but it is more done informally and out of the student initiative solely. So we thought that what NBS can do as a school is to lend our support to continuing these bonds and the activities that our students have. So we don't stop just at orientation. So after orientation, all the orientation camps will just flow naturally into the 5 houses. And these houses then NBS will lend the support to help you plan and fund and organize your activities. And we try to lend our support, but at the same time let the students decide what they want to do. So they're the ones to plan what we want to do. So for example, some of them I think went to the beach, they've gone to the beach, they've gone cycling, they have had Chinese New Year gatherings and all these kinds of activities, which I think is so important because years from now, long after you've left school, when you think back about your uni days, chances are what you will remember would not be your profs or the classes you attended, but it will be the friends that you made, the bonds that you forged, and the fun you got up to together with all your friends. And that will carry you through your entire life. It certainly was the case for me. It certainly is the case for me. So that's what we have in terms of our house system. And I think that question and those questions that we've just discussed also leads quite naturally to talking about some of the things that are being done to promote the well-being in our school. So I talked about peer tutoring. I talked about mentoring already. So the peer tutoring helps the students who need a little bit more assistance in the academic modules.
Yes.
Yeah.
So beyond that, you can also approach your faculty, right? The professors, and almost every course that you enroll in, right? The faculty will set aside some time known as consultation hours, right? Where you go, you discuss with the faculty some of the topics that maybe was covered in class and you did not understand, right? So that relieves, the stress of having to cram everything at the end of the semester, right? The business school also has a set of dedicated professionals, right, who, if you need to talk to or need some help in, right, the undergraduate programs office is there, right, to help you manage your curriculum, right. If you want a faster pace or a slower pace, right, they are there to re-look at your curriculum structure and see, maybe you should do these courses in this semester, defer some courses on the other. So like, for example, the person who asked about, they have a business and they want to, have days off to manage their business and also study, right? So that's where our undergraduate curriculum office comes in to help to sort out these things for you, right? So that it's manageable and you're not overloaded and having to be stressed out at the end of the day. Right?
Yes, and aside from that, also we also have our own student care managers in NBS. So if you have issues, not necessarily academic, anything that is troubling you, anything that you're not feeling so good about, basically any mental well-being issues, you can always approach them. They are there specifically for that purpose. And aside from that, NTU itself, we have our own counseling center, we have our university well-being office, who are also there for that very purpose. So there are many areas there are many resources that you can reach out to for support in terms of mental well-being. And in fact, our orientation, our house system is also there with that purpose, because having a house system, knowing that you belong to a house with your own dedicated group of seniors and faculty who are attached to it and staff who are attached to the house system, gives you the confidence that if you ever need to talk to anyone, they will always be there. Yeah, so that I hope also promotes the mental health of our students.
And all of these are very discreet and confidential,
Yep.
right? So there is no downsides, right, to approaching faculty, to approaching the UPO staff, to the student care managers, right? Even your friends, I think, right, within the house
Yep.
system, right? We're all here to help, right, and try and pull as many of you, right, into graduation as possible.
And for those people who may have concerns about getting the internship or getting, job offers and so on, guess who is here to help? Our ACE from ACE. Yeah? So Linda and her team are very dedicated, and they will do things like what you do have a lot of one-on-one consultations with students, right, Linda? What do you
Yes,
do?
right. So we can meet you for one-to-one consultations, one-on-one, and discuss about your career goals. There's no quota to it. You could actually meet us a few times. I have specialists, which would be my managers, that will give you advising on the various specializations, and also the special careers, the careers that you may want to go into. So we're always linked to our students, and here to address some of your challenges or your issues, or even making decisions, right, on which internships to go into.
Yes, so I hope that gives you the confidence that we really go all out to promote the well-being of our students. That's really essential to us. Okay, and I think there's actually a timer here. I think you can't see it, but there's a timer here that shows me that I have just run out of time. But thank you so much for joining us. And if there are questions that we haven't answered yet, we will try also to kind of carry them over to our student session later on in the afternoon. Please do join us then as well, because now you have listened to our staff and faculty talk about issues. If you join us for the student session, then you get to hear a very different perspective from the student's point of view, which I think should be valuable to you. All right. So hope to see you there. Thank you so much for joining us.